Okay, this will be part 2 of my video lecture in NSTP 1. No? So, we have just discussed about the common practices in our culture, and then we proceed now with the English grammar. But before I proceed to English grammar, I'd like to remind you again that your assignment here in this book, this one, is or are exercises 1 and exercise number 2. Okay, so you have to do exercise 1 and then exercise number 2. Okay, so we proceed with English grammar now. So we are through with chapter 4. We proceed with chapter 5, which is a discussion of what we call adjectives. No? This is another part of the speech that you should know. What are adjectives? No? Anyone? Who could tell me what adjectives are? Well, adjectives are describing words. Describing words. What do they describe? Or if you do not want to use describing words, they are qualifying words. What do they qualify? Qualifying words. They qualify. What parts of the speech do they qualify? They qualify or they describe nouns, noun phrases, and then also pronouns. No, these are the parts of speech that they modify. No, when we talk of modify, okay, modify. When we talk of modify or modifying the nouns, the pronouns, or noun phrases, we are talking about describing or qualifying the noun or pronoun or noun phrase by adding, no, adding information, info. There is the so-called, you have to add, no, when we say modify, you modify nouns, pronouns, or noun phrases, you have to add information. Say for instance, you could just imagine, no? If there are no adjectives as one of the parts of speech in English language, you could just imagine this sentence, no? She has a bird. No, she has a bird. So this one is katawa-tawa, di ba? She has a bird. So if you will not be putting an adjective here, what does this mean? No? Well, it sounds very absurd. She has a bird. How come that she has a bird? Well, but if you put an adjective, say for instance you put yellow bird, then it becomes clearer. No? Yellow here now would be an adjective. The fact that you have inserted the word yellow would mean that you are describing, no, the noun that follows. The noun is bird. Diba? This is a noun. Well, I will not belabor the point on nouns, but you have learned about baptize. Baptize would represent the noun. Nouns plus food. No, these are the nouns. Baptize, P for people or persons, A, animals, then P would be places, things, ideas, events, situations, and food. Okay? Clear? So, we move on now to the different types of verbs. No? The first type of verbs, sorry, the different types of adjectives, rather. The first type 1, is what we call descriptive adjectives. Descriptive. They describe. Descriptive adjectives. So what are these descriptive adjectives? Well, when we talk of descriptive adjectives, the word describe would mean characteristics of people. You are describing the characteristics of people. Characteristics of people. What else? when we talk of descriptive adjectives, we talk about properties of things, no? Properties of things. What else? We talk about feelings or emotions. Feelings or emotions. We talk about senses. We talk about colors, the one that we had earlier, colors and even sizes. No? So these are under what we call descriptive adjectives. Well, we talk about characteristics of people. Example of this would be beautiful, ugly, no, large, or fat rather because of people, no, fat or thin. These are characteristics of people. Properties of things. Well, of course, we talk about, say, for instance, huge. No, huge would be big. No, narrow. No, narrow or wide. These are properties of things. No, for feelings, emotions, we talk about, well, you are nervous, you are happy, you are sad. No, feelings or emotions. Now, for senses, the use of your senses would be, well, perhaps cold, hot, no? Those are even adjectives, no? Cold, hot, rough, soft, by the use of your senses. Then colors, of course, you already know, red, white, blue, etc. And for sizes, of course, what are the sizes that you know? Well, again, could be small or large, no? Depending on the thing that you will be describing. So that is part or type 1 of adjectives. The second type that we will be discussing today is what we call numerical. Well, from this word alone, numerical, we are talking about numbers. No? Numerical adjectives. This is type 2. Type 2 numerical adjectives. When we talk of numbers, we may talk in terms of cardinal numbers or we talk about ordinal ranking, no? Or ordinal numbers. When we talk about cardinal numbers, we talk about 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. and so on. Whereas ordinal numbers or ordinal ranking, what do we say about ordinal ranking? We talk about, say for instance, this one first, second, third, fourth. No? And we will take note that these are all in numerical form, numbers. Okay, so this one would also be taken as an adjective. Okay, there. Okay, the third type, which we will be discussing today, would be what? Adjectives of quantity or amount. Adjectives of quantity or amount. So when we talk of quantity or amount, of course, you cannot be exact. So what we are determining here would be the magnitude or extent of the quantity, magnitude or extent. It could be, say for instance, how much. No? So the question here that will be answered by this adjective would be how much. No? How much. So you could say how much? Well, so much, for instance. So much or little. You could not actually quantify with certitude. No, you cannot be certain. That's why adjectives of quantity or amount. How much? So much. Little. Not much. Those one. You could not quantify with exactitude. No? But those are also under adjectives. No, they are adjectives of quantity or amount. We are talking about the magnitude or extent of the thing, of the person, animal, or whatever noun there may be. Okay? So let us take the fourth type. That's the third type. No? Type 4 would be adjectives of possession, or ownership. Now this one will answer the question whose, no? Whose? Whose thing is this or whose animal is this? And that will indicate possession or ownership of the thing or the event or whatever, no? Or the food, whatever. No? So here, when we talk of adjectives of possession or ownership, we also have to think of the personal pronouns. So, by way of a review, what are the personal pronouns again? I, you singular, then he, she, it. No? So the possessive pronouns of this would be I, would be mine. Diba? My. So it indicates ownership. You, your. No? He would be his. Her, and then its. No? This one would all indicate possession or ownership. This time, you could say that these possessive pronouns are used as possessive adjectives to indicate ownership or possession of the thing or whatever noun you are using. No? Let us continue this. Now, in plural form, we have we, diba? You plural, and then they. So the possessive pronouns would be our, your, and then their. Oh, their. So these ones also in plural form, they are not considered, they can also be considered as adjectives. What kind of adjectives? Adjectives of possession or ownership. Okay, clear? To indicate, no, who owns or who possesses the property being referred to. Okay? We call this adjectives of ownership or possession. Remember that, ownership or possession. So here, when you use this, you use any of these possessive pronouns, the one that follows would be a noun, then it modifies the noun, or it describes the noun further. Okay? Clear? And then the fifth that will, for purposes of our discussion in this class, type 5, the, the fifth type of adjectives that we will be taking will be what we call demonstrative adjectives. Well, if we have demonstrative pronouns, you also have demonstrative adjectives, but this one will be a little bit long in the discussion. So I reserve the discussion of type 5 for next week. Okay? So by way of a summary, except for type 5, I will reserve the discussion on that because it's a little bit long. So for type 1, what is the type 1 again? Type 1 adjective, we call that descriptive adjectives. Diba? Descriptive adjectives. And this one, this type would answer the question what? No? What? What type of a lady is she, or what kind of a student is he? No, because it describes characteristics of people, properties of things, of emotions, feelings, diba? Of senses, of sizes, or even colors. So it answers this question. No, for type 2, what is type 2 again? Numerical adjectives. So, what question would answer numerical adjectives? It would answer how many. No? So, how many? Diba? It could be many, several, or even one, two, three, or even first, second, third, etc. Numerical. Basta you are talking about number. Or it could be many, plenty, etc. Now, if you could not easily quantify that, then type 3 would be adjectives by adjectives of quantity or amount. This one you could not easily quantify, especially those that are um, what we call mass nouns, no, mass nouns or non-countable nouns, no. So adjectives of amount or quantity. What's the question being asked here that you could answer them by adjectives of quantity or amount? How much is the question? No, how much? Could be so much, little, no, just enough. No, you could not quantify. And then type 4 would be what we call adjectives of possession or ownership. Adjectives of possession or ownership. And I told you earlier that this question would answer, this adjectives would answer the question whose. Whose shoes are these? Or whose slippers are these? Then you could say, those are mine. No? So type 5 would be what we call demonstrative adjectives, which I am reserving discussion of that by next week. Okay? So I will not be giving you any assignment in grammar for today in NSTP, but I'd like you to answer exercises number 1 and number 2 in this book. No? When I say you have to answer them, I do not want any erasures at all being committed in your answer sheet. Okay? That is all for today. Good morning and thank you.